Hi guys, this is Neuser with another episode of Equipped, the series where I share my preferred loadouts and playstyles for different operators. Hopefully you can find something that you can use to improve your game in Rainbow Six Siege. Today we are going to take a closer look at the shield operator Blitz. And shields are really interesting as they demand for a totally different approach and strategy compared to other operators. They can be a real boost for the team, but also be completely worthless if used the wrong way. In the hands of a pro, I guess it doesn't really matter as some players seem to be able to do wonders with all operators. But when it comes to many of us, me included, I feel that shield operators probably are the most difficult to play right, and that Blitz probably is the most difficult of them all. Montaigne can always just stand tall and provide cover and spot enemies. Fuse have his charges that are useful however the player performs in other areas, but Blitz really needs to be played in a certain way to work in my opinion. And when it does work, it's extremely fun and rewarding. But before we dig further into that, let's take a look at the loadout. Blitz is a low-speed, high-armor operator with a ballistic shield with a stun device as his special ability. With this he can blind enemies just like stun grenades do if you use it at the right distance. And this is something I will get back to as it can be a bit tricky. Blitz only have one secondary weapon to choose from, and that is the P12 handgun. A really great pistol for a shield user actually, as it's easy to hipfire, has a high rate of fire and decent damage model that makes it work at most ranges. I equip it with a muzzle brake to lower the recoil, as I really don't see any downside of it. And the laser is a must-have to be able to use the hip fire as well. When it comes to gadgets, you can have the choice of a breaching charge or smoke grenades, and they can both be really handy, so it comes down to what you personally prefer and the loadout of the rest of your team. Before I continue, I really want to give credit to one of my subscribers, David Jaggard. He wrote me a really long message with all the knowledge he had built up playing Shield since the game released, and I would really like to share as much as possible of what he told me. Since there are a lot of situational tips though, I will focus on the general and really game-changing ideas that totally changed my performance with Blitz. One thing I never thought about before is how the peeker's advantage actually affects shields in a negative way. When you raise your shields, after you have aimed down sights, your head remains in the open a fraction of a second after you have got the shield back up. And this is really important as the enemy will have a fraction of a second longer to line up a headshot when you think you're fairly safe. It is of course the same thing when you peek a corner with a regular operator, but in those situations you are often aware of that and quickly move behind cover again. Another thing I had a problem with was distance, when to flash and when to engage. A simple rule I learned from David is to wait until you're at half a room's length before you flash. Because if you're too far away, and that's not really far away actually, you won't blind the enemy although you think you have in the heat of the moment. Think of half the length of the room you're currently in. It's not exact in any way, but it's easy, accurate enough, and therefore very effective. And don't flash until you're at that distance. You can actually terrify most players by staying cool, letting them empty the mag and methodically just moving closer and closer until you go for the flash and kill. Another thing to think about when it comes to this is to move upright. Stop and crouch, move upright, and stop and crouch again. This way you will move quite fast and won't show your feet and legs as much, as they actually will show at the sides of the shield when you're crouch walking. So when the enemy is firing, crouch and stand still. When he's reloading, move. If he tries to rush you, flash, sidestep and kill him. Timing is everything when it comes to Blitz. And of course, making sure you face your opponent head on so the shield will cover you. To aid your team, use the spotting mechanic constantly, as it many times will be enough to spot for your team and let them go for the kill while the defender is occupied with you. Not good for your KD of course, but this is Rainbow Six Siege, and it shouldn't be your main concern in my opinion. You always have to be on the lookout for C4 as well, but don't let the impact grenades scare you too much, as they will only do about 40 damage and won't down or kill you unless you're very low on health. And if you're prepared when you hear that C4 rip, you will be able to down the defender many times if you lower your shield right away and spam fire that pistol. To be able to do this, it's great to always have your hip fire crosshair on the enemy, no matter what you're doing, as you won't have to adjust your aim as much when you ADS. So, to sum this up, when playing Blitz, play aggressive, but try to stay calm. Pick out single enemies like a lion hunting prey. Move, crouch and stop. Move and crouch and stop again until you're close enough to flash and go for the kill. A good thing to remember is that the enemy will often fire in your general direction after they get blinded, or rush towards you with the melee attacks. So a great tactic is to sidestep directly after you flash them. You will have a couple of seconds to act, so instead of panicking, try and take your time to aim and go for the kill, or even melee them. So that's about it for today guys. What are your thoughts on Blitz? Do you agree with my modest tips or tactics, or do you have some tricks of your own you would like to share? Please do so by leaving a comment below. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my future content. Tomorrow it's Sunday, which means Battlefield 1 day, and until then, I will keep being Neuser. Hej då!